Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of your favorite Ravens YouTube channel and podcast, Talking Ravens all day, every day, with your host, Justin P. I got a very special guest, a diehard Steelers fan from Pittsburgh, my guy, Gregory Ford. He's on here joining me today. Everybody else, the rest of the crew should be coming on. Cam's coming, coming from class, AJ's at work. So they'll be joining us, momentarily. But this is episode 20 for the YouTube channel. And for the audio version, season one, episode 23. All the links in the description right there. Google Podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that stuff right there. So, just type in Talking Ravens all day, every day. List all the available platforms. Man, so Gregory, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to see the growth in the channel since our first the first time I was on here. Just keeping track. We're in a couple groups together, so big ups to you for all the hard work.
Appreciate that, good brother, man. Appreciate it, man. Ravens Steelers week, man. It don't feel like it normally does, but it's here. Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern. I will be in Pittsburgh watching the game. So yeah, I'm gonna be in enemy territory, so that should be fun.
All
So
right.
let's start with coaching. We'll start with coaching. So just give me your thoughts on the coaching matchup between Harbaugh and Tomlin. Just like they've been going against each other for the last 15 years. So I want to say this is like their 30th matchup. So just I know Tomlin has the upper hand, if I'm not mistaken. But just give me your thoughts on how these two preparing for this matchup.
Well, they both know each other well. Um, Tomlin's had been for his entire career, and I mean that's probably a big reason for a lot of the, I won't say lopsided, but the advantage that he's had. Both had good defenses, and one of the things that Tomlin had mentioned, was the use of analytics and how it makes Harbaugh predictable. Um, so I think that started to show his face a little in a few late game situations. So if Harbaugh is able to kind of take that information and use that and not rely so much on analytics, you might be able to catch us a little off guard. Um, Ultimately, they're pretty similar in resume. I think even some of their coaching abilities. I mean, I know Harbaugh isn't too as much involved on either offense or defense as much as Tomlin has. He's mostly a special teams and secondary coach. Um, but as far as having their teams prepared, they're two coaches. They're both their teams typically are going to come in more prepared than the coaches that haven't been around as long. I think only Curly Lambeau and George Hallis have matched up more than Tomlin and Harbaugh. So familiarity is going to be more so on the personnel side. I think some of their assistants, there's been some changes over the last years. You got a new DC. Steelers got a new DC. They promoted Terrell Austin. Got rid of Keith Butler. Then we also added Brian Flores to the linebacking core. So there's a few changes, but ultimately I think it's going to be status quo for the coach, and it's going to be who makes the most plays on Sundays. I don't think the coaches are going to factor in too much.
Okay, I mean that's well said. Me personally, like you said, they both know each other well. Both blue collar guys. They're player coaches. Tomlin, my thing with Tomlin is he doesn't play to the analytics. Like you said, if it's time to take a field goal, he'll take it. Like he know when to go for the win or not. So that's the only thing I would say with Tomlin has over Harbaugh. Harbaugh, like I say, he listens to the numbers and stuff like that. Like you gotta. If it's time to take the field goal, take against Buffalo, he should have just took the field goal because it's the game is still locked at 20. Why are you trying to go? I mean, I get it, you want to be aggressive, but you kick the field goal, the momentum is on your side, the crowd is rocking. You know what I mean? Buffalo, we stopped Buffalo. People like, how you gonna know if they're gonna score a touchdown? You know what I mean? ain't no guarantee they would. So it was like it's a 50-50. Like, mind you, Josh Allen did throw two interceptions. Ain't like he just walked up and down the field and scored 40 points on us. And I get his off I get it, they're an electric offense, Diggs, Gabriel Davis, but you gotta take the field goal in this situation and play with your crowd. See, Tomlin would have took the field goal and played with the crowd to his advantage and let his defense win the game. So those are the two variables between the two. But other than that, them two guys are very similar. Both won a Super Bowl. Both have had a lot of success. Tomlin hasn't had a losing season yet, so that's the only outlier. Harbaugh's only had what, two losing seasons, I would think. Yeah, two seasons. Yeah, so both of them has had tremendous success. Since becoming the head coach, of the franchise. So it's gonna be an interesting matchup. Like you said, it's more so gonna come down to the players making plays. But I just think coaching situation coaching is gonna play a part in this. Like far as Greg Roman's play calling, with now Tyler Huntley at quarterback, that's gonna be interesting to see because he can't do all the things that Lamar do, but he can do some of the things. So we'll see how that goes. Defensive coordinator, Mike McDonald going against Matt Canada. I want to see how that's going to go. We got a rookie quarterback. I don't think we have lost to a rookie. The last look rookie quarterback we lost to, I think, was Mr. Trubisky in 2017 when they beat us. The last rookie quarterback that beat us. So we do fairly well against rookie quarterbacks. So I'm very optimistic about that. But like you said, it's going to come down to the players. Okay, all right. Now we got that out the way. Let's talk about the quarterback matchup. Tyler Huntley now and Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett, he's come along. He's not prolific. He doesn't wow you with any one aspect of his game, but he's starting to get it. He's starting to become more confident. Comfortable with the offense. He'll have lapses. We typically we've been moving the ball, but once we get in the red zone, we've been awful. It's usually a miscue, either an errant pass, a drop, a bad read, a penalty, something going on where we just miss people and our offensive slow down in the red zone. Some of that comes with experience. Some of that, he didn't get to work as the starter in the offseason. He was actually number three coming in behind Trubisky and Rudolph until he took over as the backup like midway through camp. So there's a lot of snaps we have. And like someone like that deals with a lot of timing and rhythm, like a Deontay, he's really starting to suffer because of this. Whereas Pickens, this his kind of, uh, I would say, chemistry with Pickens is a little bit better because he doesn't necessarily need to be open. Right, he's not like the separation guy or the timing guy. It's just okay, get it in my vicinity. I'll go and make a play. It's the same with Fryermuth. Those two tend to have a better connection. But the turnovers had since the bye week, they haven't been there. I mean, they was calling him Kenny picked or Kenny Pickett or whatever because he threw so many interceptions his first few games, and he was always trying to make a play, which is good, but um, I think it's going to be a cat and mouse game between him and probably Marcus Peters, who we'll probably get into later, but he struggled, but he's very opportunistic to where someone like Pickett, a rookie, he can bait him into a bad decision. And that's something that can change the game because really we don't have the type of offense to where we can make up for turnovers, right? So the only reason why we're he's scoring points and we've have a winning record. I mean, we almost should be undefeated since the bye. Is because we haven't turned over the ball, and it's our longest streak without a turnover. Uh, I can't even remember. I seen a graphic earlier, but it's been a long time since we've gone this many snaps without a turnover. So um, now you have Huntley, which I mean I wish at some point in time we can see these two teams healthy. I want to see Lamar. I'm actually a fan of Lamar, but Huntley can do a lot of the same things. He's not as dynamic. I think he's a better decision maker. I actually think he's more accurate, especially downfield. He doesn't miss Like Lamar will bail you out. Where there'll be someone wide open downtown, he'll overthrow him. It's happened a lot, but we don't necessarily we don't fear his legs the same way. I mean, Lamar can change a game with his legs, and we found a way to defend Lamar that's been really effective. And to be quite honest, we didn't change it up when we played against Huntley or even RG3, because you all didn't change their game plan. I mean, we run right at the quarterback. When you do that read option, it doesn't matter if they run the ball or not. We're hitting the quarterback. Whoever that free rusher is, we have not hesitate whether it's Watt or Hassmith. We go right to him, and it's worked. Huntley, he had a chance to win the game, but that was his probably his worst game starting last year. Out of all the games. So whatever we got going on with the defending Huntley, we're probably going to stick with it. Um, and if he can kind of stop, the early rattle, I mean, he's going to be there. I think it's still going to be a game, and if he can make some plays late in the games, both our offense and our defense kind of slow down in the second half, even during these last few games where we're winning. So um, I like Huntley. Fortunately for y'all kept him because I think he might even be starting somewhere for another team.
Yeah, I'm gonna start with Kenny Pickett. Like I said, no rookie quarterbacks. It's always a learning curve and an adjustment. But I already said it. I don't know if you saw. I said by week 3 or 4, he's going to be the starter. I said Mitch, who I like coming out of college, but I say he's like, he didn't hit his ceiling already. Won a couple playoff games in Chicago, won our playoff games in Chicago, made the playoffs a few times. Like he already reached his ceiling. I said once Kenny Pickett learns the offense, he's going to be inserted into the lineup. So, so far, I had some dreadful games against the Bills and Browns and the second Bengals game. But he also has showed some good things against the Colts. Last week against the Falcons. So it's like Pittsburgh always. Last couple years outside of 2020, I've been starting off slow, then fighting your way back to try to make a playoff push. So, and it's the same thing now. Like mathematically, you guys are not out. You're 5-7 on the table or run, or when y'all next 4-5, y'all 9-8. Anything can happen. So it's just Pittsburgh is never. It's that team you can never count on. And Kenny Pickett is looking better and better each week. So we can't go in there and take them lightly for sure. Like I said, we have a good record against rookie quarterbacks, so hopefully that can stay true at Sunday. Excuse me, but yeah, I like Kenny Pickett. I'm not the strongest, but he's like I said, he's real precise with the football, as you just said. Hasn't been turning the ball over a lot. And he can move. He can move. People forget it because last year in the ACC championship game, he took that big old run and faked the kid out like he was sliding and scored. So he can take off. So like I said, if you play man coverage and all the DBs back is not towards a quarterback, he can take off and get a free first down. So yeah, Kenny Pickett definitely is each week progressing. Even with the loss to Claypool, you guys receivers still stepping up. Deontay Johnson, is playing fairly well. Miles Boykin, I haven't really been keeping up on him, but I'm assuming he's playing his part. Calvin Austin, I think he was a little banged up. That's another guy that can get over the top. So, and then Pat Fryermuth, who I love at Penn State. He got some more to play with. Tyler Huntley came in, he won the game. Pretty good job. This field kind of shrinks with him because yeah, he does get the ball up quicker. Yeah, he does make better decisions, but he don't got the arm strength that Lamar got. So that's what's the problem. So the throws that Lamar can hit on a run, I don't know if Huntley can hit those because that's how he threw the interception because he tried to roll back to the right and put it in there, and the DB make a play on the ball. But like I said, I'm confident that we'll have a game plan whereas though we can, get the ball out of his hand quick. Because once he got in, we went to the quick game. 1, 2 steps, let it go. 1, 2 steps, let it go. 1 or 2 reads. He'll probably have a little bit more on his plate now that he's a full week of practice being a starter. But it all depends on for one the play calling and the receivers being able to get open, against man coverage. So I think Tyler Huntley is going to have a solid game. Running back. Running backs.
Okay, so we got Najee. Najee, I've been a little scared here for some time with him. Um, to where I mean, this dating back to even last season, to where you kind of question some of his vision and really his running back mentality. I mean, he played wide receiver at one point growing up. I mean, he's like 6'1", 6'2". He runs pretty high, and you see him with kind of scat back tendencies, right? And it becomes a lot more um, it becomes a lot more obvious when some of these backup running backs have been coming in, like Jalen Warren. Jalen Warren, he hits the hole, and he's a smaller back, but he's more assertive, and that really helps. That really helps our line. But I think Najee getting hurt, and I think being able to see the what some of these other running backs was doing, even when like McFarland got his first action a couple weeks ago, and he actually looked good. I mean, Benny Snell, which I mean, for a while we was spelling his name Snail, because he's a good special teamer, but man, he's just slow. He's not as talented as some other including Najee. But Najee has come on. He's running hard. He's running assertive. He's taking what's there. He's breaking tackles. He's helping his line. You really see him getting better with his reads. That kind of makes me comfortable that he's not necessarily heading to the Trent Richardson trajectory. You know, uh, maybe not that All Pro, maybe not that future All Pro, but he can do it all. He can. His pass blocking is good. He actually has some big time drops though. His hands don't seem to be there, and I see we us getting a little away from using him that way, because last year he made some really good catches last year. That this year he's just not making them. Um, so I think we're using him effectively. We're mixing in. Thomas getting away from this whole bell cow type ordeal where we just run one running back into the ground, and he sees the value of like really keeping these, all of his running backs fresh. And we've been running the ball really well, since the bye. So, I'm real happy with the trajectory of our running backs, which is essentially been probably the biggest change in our team. From other than of course the opponents. I mean, we had a brutal schedule, and now our schedule lightened up. But um, the run since the bye, the one area that's improved the most has been our running game, and it's helping our defense. It's, of course, it's helping our offense too. Now on of course, the Ravens side, you always kind of had a lot of rotation with your running backs. It seemed to be for a while plug and play for a few years, and it just really didn't matter who was back there. Whether it was was it Tyrell Williams or Tyrone Williams, or Gus Edwards. Drafted Dobbins, who I really liked. I was hoping we drafted, and we took Claypool. But you guys got Dobbins, but of course, that's one of the things. We're not healthy. We're not seeing we can't seem to see each other. Being healthy. So there's no Dobbins. I don't know if Gus Edwards is in or not, but now you have Kenyon Drake. Um, so Drake can be a problem for us, um, if he's used right, simply because we really don't have none of our inside linebackers have been good in coverage. All right, so he's kind of that dual threat. And he's good. He runs between the tackles. He's not, really just simply a perimeter scat back. He'll beat you in between the tackles, and he has the speed to beat you on the edge. You've seen when last week when the Falcons decided, hey, we're just going to run the ball, right? We're just going to line up and run the ball. And our run defense is top 10. I think coming into that game, we were about sixth against the run. But that was a little bit misleading too. Um, So I think it's because of being able to stay off the field and the fact that we was giving big plays in the passing game is more so the reason why we couldn't stop the run. But a team that has a good running game, they can get at us. We're a little soft up the middle. Tyson Alualu, when he's on the floor, when he's on the field, he's getting pushed around. Um, so I think just about all of your running backs can take advantage of your running if you stick with it. I think if y'all lined up and y'all ran the ball 50 times and didn't make it and didn't have a pass attempt, I think y'all will win. I would actually predict that y'all will win. I don't think that's going to happen. Um, but you have capable, no studs really right now. No one that's going to, game break us. But you have guys that can. All your running backs can keep you all on schedule, and that's including Huntley. If you're going to use him in a running game. Um, Trying to think who else you all have that's going to be healthy. So you got Drake. Gus Edwards did come back, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
Justin Hill and Mike Davis.
Okay, you did get. Okay, Uh, Justice Hill a little disappointing from what I've seen to be quite honest. I expected more from him, but I mean he's battled through injuries most of his career. Mike Davis had the year in Carolina. I haven't seen him much from you all, but I don't think he's doing that well with you all, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it's probably going to be a lot of Drake and Gus Edwards. I mean Gus I think fumbled late in the game um, that ended up costing you all, but I think he's probably still your best option against us. Drake could be a weapon. That's someone I would. I mean, if he's on the sidelines, I'll be pretty ecstatic.
Yeah, you're right. But we start with you guys as running back. Like you said, Najee Harris, bell cow, man. Kid had 300 carries last year, man. Could have probably got offensive rookie of the year. Had everything been a little bit more better for him. Can catch out the backfield. He can line up like a receiver and catch. I think he got like 70 something catches last year, so he definitely can be a threat in the passing game. Like you said, Benny Snell, a power back, not really fast, but he can get through 4 or 5 yards a clip. He can also catch a little bit out the backfield. The other running back, Warren, I watched him a little bit. He got a little jiggle to him. He can run. He run low with his pad, got good pad leverage. He also can catch pretty good too. So and Anthony McFarland, who I watched at Maryland, pretty good back. Y'all been giving him more carries. He's been gradually, slowly getting to the floor of things up there as well. So like I said, like we said, at the bar, y'all running game has been much better. Y'all ran the ball well against the Colts, ran the ball pretty decent against the Falcons, and got 2 wins. So it was pretty good. And when y'all played the Bucks and y'all beat them early, yeah, y'all ran the ball pretty good. So y'all running back group is definitely nothing to sleep on. Plus us, like you said, JK, we might not see him to the playoffs. If we do, we supposed to do it, make it. But Kenyon Drake, Gus, and Justice Hill should be the main 3 ball guys. Like Mike Davis, I think he's been in Harbaugh's doghouse since that fumble against the Jets. So you know, he used him sparingly, come in, maybe pass block, run a route, because I think he played against New Orleans. He had a couple catches out the backfield, but nothing major. Like when, just being an outlet when everybody was covered. So those 3 guys should be our primary ball carriers. And me personally, we got to run the ball out of our formation. Run the ball out of pistol makes us a little predictable, like as you shared earlier, Harbaugh and Roman. So if we line up in our formation and run the ball and go straight downhill, it'll increase our chance, and that opens up play action passes, things like that. But our running back room right now, it's okay. I'm confident, but we definitely need 27 back sooner than later. Okay, receivers and tight ends.
Okay. So receivers. So wide receiver one has been getting a lot of attention until about last week from defenses. Has been Deontay. He was a Pro Bowler last year, 100 catch, 1100 yard, 8 touchdown guy. But um, I think the drops are starting to get back into his head, and he after his I think 2020 it was really bad where he led the league in drops. Since then he's amongst the best as far as like because he gets a lot of targets, so his his drop rate was like amongst the lowest in the NFL, but he always still had that stigma. This year, two new quarterbacks. The offense overall was struggling. He's going, games and games and games, not getting in the end zone. You can see him pressing. He's pressing to get open. You can see him thinking all the time whenever the ball's coming, and he ended up having a couple drops last game, and then also he's trying so hard to make a play that he's losing yardage. Trying to instead of cutting up the field and get what what he can get. Now it seemed like he somewhat fixed that last week, but I think that's just something to watch. And I also think somewhat the offensive coordinator and even the quarterback are starting to, all right, we're in the red zone. Let's see if we can get him the ball instead of playing football and seeing if he's open. I mean, he's one of the best route runners and, guys that create separation in the NFL. So if the Ravens can kind of key in on that, that's another thing where you can bait a young quarterback into turning over the ball, trying to force it to someone. Now, Pickens, on the other hand, he showed a bit of emotion because now instead of Deontay getting a lot of the double coverage and a lot of the attention, they started focusing more on Pickens, and Pickens wasn't open. I mean, that's not been his game as far as getting open. It's just okay. You see 1-on-1, give him a chance. He's been coming down with it. For the most part, when he gets his 1-on-1 opportunities, he's just not the guy that's going to create separation. um, so you got guys that are, playmakers. You got your Hump and your Peters, and I think who you got Stevens. You got you got Stevens on the other end. I mean, these are big, kind of aggressive cornerbacks that can make those 50-50 balls a bit tougher than some of what he's faced. So he might be a little bit easier to kind of take out of the game as opposed to Deontay, who's really got the better of Humphrey, over his career, even when he was healthy. So I think our wide receivers are going to struggle against that secondary. Now you kind of have Patrick McQueen. I know he's back at practice, but he's battling through an injury. And he's probably the better cover guy between him and Roquan. So that's where Pat Freiermuth comes into play, who honestly has probably been our best offensive player this year. Um, he seems to be have the best chemistry with Pickett, especially being right in front of him. He's learning how to work the zones. He's been showing himself to be sure-handed and the playmaker even after the catch. He's been coming down with the 50-50 balls. I mean, he is an elite weapon. So if I was to say who really needs to be the focus on our offense and honestly your defense, it absolutely would be Freiermuth. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten to see Calvin Austin, who is probably the fastest player on our team this year. He's going to be out for the year, but our slot, even though our offense has been better since trading Claypool, we've gotten next to nothing from our slot. Um, Steven Sims, I mean, he's a guy who actually kind of tore us up when he was with the Redskins. When the Redskins, beat us and ruined our winning streak when we were 11-0. He made a lot of big plays for Redskins, and that's probably has a lot to do with him being a Steeler right now. But I mean, he's mainly a special teamer. I don't expect him to be able to beat anyone you all have in the slot too much. I mean, he's struggling with his hands. He's struggling with separation. He's struggling keeping his feet in bounds. I mean, he just doesn't have it much out of. He might be able to make a play or two out of a jet sweep. Gunnar Olszewski, same thing. If he's in a game, you almost don't even have to guard him in a passing game. He's just going to be the guy who's running a motion, fake jet sweep. They might hand it to him here and there. Um, Miles Boykin, as good of a gunner as he's been, I mean, he's made some amazing plays as a gunner. We haven't used him at all in the passing game. So typically, when you see him out, we got a particular formation where I see he's the only wide receiver out there. Um, we're running the ball. He's probably our best run blocker. So it's a pretty good bet that that's just going to, we're not even trying to hide the fact they're going to run the ball. Now, you guys, that's just an area that you haven't put much stock in. Is well documented. That's the weakest area of your team, especially you take away a Bateman who, you've seen some potential there at the earlier in the year that he could be a playmaker, and be that one or one A, maybe high end two type guy. But without him, you got Duvernay who, as an elite a returner is, he's an all pro returner. No one fears him in the passing game, even with all that speed. Probably your best threat is, uh, old man Deshaun, who he probably can't do it on a consistent basis. So he might come in for one play, put the fear of God in defenses, and you might throw it to him, might not. And you got to come off to the sidelines because this is, that's just not where he is right now. I mean, would it surprise me because we don't have a lot of speed in our secondary, because um, Sutton might be our fastest. Witherspoon is probably our fastest, but he's been hurt and really he hasn't played well. But Levi Wallace isn't fast. Arthur Millette isn't fast. Um, Edmonds is kind of fast. Minka's back there, but I mean he's only one man. Deshaun may be the one to make that big play to change the game. Um, Now, of course, you got that the All Pro in Mark Andrews, who, I mean, he might be the best player on either offense. This Sunday. He's someone that we've had good success against, that we've had a good plan against, and we've simply just put Edmonds on him, which I wouldn't have said that was a good idea, but it's worked. Um, but he's a guy that I don't think you can keep down very long. He's struggled with drops himself this year. But he's always the threat to make a play. Someone I'm a fan of, someone I like getting in fantasy. Um, and he can be used as a blocker too. So, of course, I don't know if you want to consider him like an H back or what, but you got Ricard, who's basically another offensive lineman, but he can catch. He's the threat out of the backfield, and they use him so that you have to account for that. It's because the way Greg Merman's offense is and the way the blocking scheme is, it's a numbers game. So in order to have the numbers work for you, you have to be able to account for every skill player in the passing game, and he's used effectively. So I know they don't like it, where it's like, okay, Greg Roman's and out and mount on routes, but you almost have to do that for personnel purposes, just so that teams have to respect it. So um, I don't really like your wide receivers. Um, I think that can end up hurting you all, and why I think it's going to be a low scoring game is simply because you're wide receivers. Because then we can start focusing on Andrews and your running game. Um, but it only takes one or two plays. It only takes for Duvernay to, we have a blown coverage. It only takes for Deshaun to get behind us. It only takes for, Mark Andrews to hurt us in the red zone because we crashed in on a running game. So, um, we can't necessarily sleep on it, but it's not really something I'm afraid of.
Yeah, yeah. Well said. For you guys' group, you said George Pickens was amazing. You know how I felt he should be a Raven. Much as I like David Ajabo, I think he's a good player. I think George Pickens supposed to be wearing that black and purple, but he's balling off for you guys, man. Like I said, he's definitely maturing now. He's not really being the head case that everybody, thought he would be. He's making big plays, one-handed catches. Like you said, Steven Sims, he's always been a utility guy, special teams, can make some plays here and there if you slack on him. You said Kelvin Austin is out, speed demon. Miles Boykin, I'm pretty. I think for this Sunday, I think y'all gonna go out there and give him some targets just to let him get a little get back. I just feel it in my gut because that's what Tomlin's going to do. Go out there and catch a couple passes. He definitely going to be out there to block in the run game for sure. So I think he got a little bit of a raw deal with us, So I think we should have gave him one more shot because he's a big receiver, 6'4", 220, can block and he can catch the jump ball. He started off good with us, had 4 touchdowns, 2 years. Then after that, just slowly just fell out the rotation for whatever reason. But Miles Boykin is a guy you definitely know him. Well, Deontay Johnson, like you said, I always got on him about the drops, but as a dynamic receiver, the last two times we played him, he's made big plays against us on third down, fourth down. Yeah, get the first down to keep the drive alive, get the first down to keep the game alive, score the touchdown. They give you guys the lead. So, like that group, it's a solid group. So, even without Chase Claypool and Angus and Pat Fryermuth, like you guys always keep a tight end from Heath Miller, Jesse James, now Pat Fryermuth, you guys always find a tight end. So it's definitely going to be a good a group that we got. We can't can't take for granted. Our receivers, whew, Lord, like you said, Rashad Bateman showed us some stuff. Then again, IR, you can't help us if you want street clothes. So I'm wishing him a speedy recovery. Demarcus Robinson has been playing better as of late. The savvy veteran, Super Bowl champion. He's starting to get more targets. So he's been that safe haven for us at wide receiver. Duvernay, we got to put the ball in his hands more, not just on jet sweeps. He's actually a solid route runner. He actually got the most receiving touchdowns. I think he has about 4 or 5 receiving touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, Prochet and Tyler Wallace have been a little bit disappointments. And some of it come from lack of opportunity. Those guys, we drafted those guys in the fourth and fifth round, respectively, in the draft class. So we expected them to contribute. That's why we didn't bring in a receiver because we wanted those two guys to get more opportunities. But it just quite hasn't worked out. Prochet is making a few catches here and there. He threw that stupid interception last week. I don't know what he was thinking. But those two guys that we gotta get more out of them. And like you said, Deshaun Jackson, grandpa at a receiving core, he can get us just 2 big plays a game. So that'll help us if he can stretch the field and, get behind somebody once or twice and give Huntley an easy target. Then like Andy Isabella, we signed him to the practice squad. We should use him. I don't see why not. 'Cause like I say, he's fast. He can do all the same things that like a Hollywood could do. Not as good as Hollywood, of course, but just with that speed, you can use him like saying in jet sweeps, throw deep crosses, bubble screens. To get the ball in his hands and let him go. And then we got guys on our practice squad like Shamar Bridges, 6'5", 220, who had an amazing training camp in preseason and got hurt. We brought him back, stashed him. I want to see what we're going to elevate him. Then Victor Benjamin, who's been with the team for a while, never big body, 6'4", 220. Had a solid preseason. Like I said, just was never able to make the 53-man roster. But right now, yeah, the favor is definitely your guys' side for our skill position. But our guys, given the circumstances, the play calling and switch of quarterback, they have been doing enough for us to get by. They just need a little bit more out there. Okay, all right, offensive line.
Okay. Yeah, I try to keep it shorter for time purposes. Been a little long winded, but um, the biggest thing with our line has been continuity. Um, uh, Really, outside of a few snaps, Chuks for a right tackle, who originally I wasn't that big of a fan of bringing back, just because he's not that much of a run blocker, even though he's a good pass blocker. He has been excellent this year, from pretty much our whole right side. Um, we brought in James Daniels, play right guard. He hasn't given up a sack. I mean, he might he has an argument for being a Pro Bowler this year. Mason Cole is provided some stability at center that we didn't have. I mean, last year we had Kendrick Green, who, I mean, I just hate to down players, but he just didn't live up to that draft stock. Didn't seem comfortable with the position. Seemed undersized, and I mean, he got sunned out there last year. I seen some clips, and he just didn't look like he belonged in the NFL. Now, where we're going to struggle is the left side. So Kevin Dotson, who 2 years ago was arguably our best offensive lineman as a rookie, that's when we had Pouncey and DeCastro. He looked the best, but since then, I don't think he's been 100%. Struggling with penalties, he's giving up sacks. He's even getting pushed around a bit in the running game. So it's been a bit disappointing for him. I wouldn't surprise me if he wasn't starting next year, but he's our guy now, and that's probably if you got he might be lined up across Calais Campbell. and that's not going to be a pretty sight. Depending on who he's lined up against. Left tackle, Dan Moore. He's been the weak link. I think he's like second in the NFL in penalties, and he's a lot of the ones that tends to hurt us in the red zone with either a holding or a false start. And he gives up sacks. He gives up rushes. I mean, he gives up that edge. I mean, he doesn't look. I mean, he's easily probably the bottom 10 left tackles in the league this year. But I think as a unit, when they're running the ball and they're moving forward, the continuity that they've had, the fact that they've all been essentially healthy all year, is starting to show. So they're better than they were early in the year. Still not good, um, but they're moving pretty well as a unit. Um, Now on the Ravens side, so you got, I think you brought in Morgan Moses, solidified that right side has been quite a bit of a carousel. I think you got Ben Cleveland's on the left, is a left guard, correct?
No, Ben Powers is the left
Ben
guard.
Powers, okay, Ben Powers. Um, Stanley, I think on the injury report he might be playing this week if I'm not mistaken, but overall. Um, I don't want to say your offensive line is like your running backs where it's plug and play, but it almost has been. And I think the system almost had some of the struggles that some of you have had. At the like because you've had a lot of guys there, but you always have these huge, powerful men. I mean, these 320, 340 pounds, 6'4", 6'5", just bruisers that just really bully you, where we more so get the athletic ones that move around. Um, you get you guys moving forward, and you can do some punishment on our defensive line. I mean, that's even with Hayward and Ogunjobi and Adams, and all of them can get pushed around. When teams decide that they're going to go downhill on them, um, and if you're going to win, it's because you got them going, you got them in a rhythm, and you got them moving forward. If we can get them moving backwards and pass blocking, that's where you're going to get in trouble. And it's not even going to be from Watt, because Watt, it really hasn't been healthy. It's going to be from the other side, and it's going to be from the interior, and it's going to be from some of our blitzes. But um, I know Mar Jackson got hurt. You had a free rusher. So I could see there being some communication issues that I don't know if Huntley's going to be able to overcome how Lamar has. And the way that we disguise our blitzes, um, either we can dictate things, especially if you want to sit there and drop back and pass things, or that offensive line can dictate things and move forward and really control the game.
Yeah, yeah, that's good stuff. I'm not gonna be too long. Yeah, you guys, y'all definitely made some changes on the offensive line this year because as of lately, after the Castro, y'all parted ways and y'all offensive line play has been like spotty. Y'all parted ways with Villanueva, who we picked up and didn't work out at all. I'll get to that in a second. But like you said, Kevin Dodson, he was one of you guys' best linemen. That subpar. Mason Cole has been pretty good for you guys. James Daniel been pretty good. Former Bear. Okafor, Chukwu Okafor, I think I said his name right. He's been, okay. So y'all guys linemen, it's been middle of the pack, been okay. Kenny Pickett did get sacked a lot against Buffalo, but more some of that was him holding the ball a little too long. But y'all starting to open up more holes in the run game. So the line always come together around this time of the year for you guys. For us, like you said, Stanley, will he play? Will he not play? He's been a full participant this week, so he will play. So that will increase our chances a lot. Like you said, Ben Powers on a contract year. So we're going to trying to see how he's going to do. But in Cleveland can't pass the conditioning test. So I think that's why he hasn't been utilized this year. He's still in Harvard. And then Tyler Linderbaugh, the center, playing phenomenal, man. He has a high grade on. analytical site, PFF. Against the Bucks, he had Devin White locked up. He couldn't do nothing. Second level, going on the screens, calling on blitzes. Although he's only 6'3", 200, I mean 305 pounds, he holds his own, man. Then the Iowa linemen always, they always tend to be good, man. So him and Jan, they got a good relationship. Kevin Zeitler, he's been, he solidified that right guard spot coming over from the Giants. Marlon. And Morgan Moses been playing pretty okay. Like he's definitely a way better upgrade than Alejandro Villanueva. I will say that. Then you got the rookie Daniel Falehe. He's been playing pretty good, moving around from left tackle, right tackle. He's been holding his own. So and David Sharp, the backup we got. He played a little bit this year. He hasn't done too bad. Swing tackle guard. But overall, the line is not bad. They just gotta hold it together a little bit more in pass protection and give our receivers a chance to get over. Because like I said, Sunday, granted Denver pass rush is good, but Brian Brown and Jonathan Cooper and all them guys coming off the edge, man, hitting our quarterback. So hopefully, if we can keep Watt and Hayward at bay for the most part, we'll have a shot. All right, now time to go to the defense. Then tell your defense.
So our defensive line, better than last year. Um, we added Liel from Texas A&M. He was originally at the beginning of the year slated to be about a top 15 pick. Then he slipped, and I'm glad he did because he put on some weight, some good muscle, and so he's not as much of a liability as I thought he was going to be in run defense. I really wanted Travis Jones, who you all got to. Y'all draft a lot of players that I wanted to draft, but um, Liel's held his own. He's good at getting his hands in the passing lanes, batting down balls. He's helped with the interior pass rush in our sub packages, which is where we struggled there last year because we really didn't have a defensive lineman that can rush from the interior last year, other than Cam Hayward. So why Highsmith would get pressure from the edge, but all you had to do is step up, and there would be no one there. The same with Larry Ogunjobi, who we got from the Bengals. He's provided stout run defense, someone that is able to get off of blocks. I mean, and run defense wasn't even supposed to be his thing, but he's actually been holding up pretty good. There now. Hayward, Hayward's not going to. He's not the player he was last year. I think having Watt out hurt him the most out of everyone. But he's still not someone that you can push around. He's really not someone you want to single because he gets off blocks. He is still a mean, straight arm bull rush. Where he can get into the lap of the quarterback. I think he got Mariota last week. He actually got in the lap of Mariota that caused that interception at the end of the game too. So that our interior rush has been really good, but gap control, the way you guys run the ball, um, you can really get to the second level, especially how you've seen how Tyler Lindenbaum was able to dominate that Bucks game. I mean, if our defensive lineman allows him to get onto a guy like Devin Bush, who's really getting off blocks isn't his specialty. Miles Jack is a little bit better, but he's slowed down since the beginning of the year. I mean, you don't hear his name anymore. Um, we can we can lose ground. We haven't been playing a guy Isaiah Loudermilk, much since Liao's come back. He's more of a run stopper than some of the other ones, but he's not athletic enough to really assist in the pass rush game. So you don't see him active a lot. I think he should probably be playing ahead of Wormley, who really Wormley was the guy that got after the quarterback. You're familiar with him. He got after the quarterback last year. You're not seeing that this year. He's another one that's just kind of struggling with his gap control, and we're getting pushed around when he's in the game. We're getting pushed around while Aluwalu's in the game. The only time we can really stop the run is when Cam Hayward, Montravius Adams, and Larry Ogunjobi are in the game, which we rotate those guys a lot. Now the Ravens defensive line, it's always stout. you know, Mount Umbuke. I'm not gonna get his name. Mount Buke. I mean, you just all get these massive men in the trenches. I mean, Travis Jones. He's good on as far as rush, interior rush, and in a run game. Calais Campbell, who's a man, I think he's like 6'7", 6'8", and he wears it well. He's tall, so he gets his hands on a lot of balls. I mean, he blocks kicks. Um, and see who you have. No, you don't have Derek Wolf anymore.
Brent Urban.
Brett Urban. Okay, so you have Brett Urban. I mean, you always have kind of that intangible guy. I think y'all had like Jared Johnson for a little while, and Derek Wolf. Like you kind of always have that intangible guy to go along with these massive. Now, don't have y'all resigned Brandon Williams, if I'm not mistaken.
He got picked up by the Chiefs.
Chiefs. Okay, so missing him. That's another guy I wish that we drafted when y'all did. He's the one that gave us problems, but um, y'all not lacking for beef up front, and we're just our line isn't necessarily going to be able to line up and just push you all around. Now, if we stay consistent with the run game, yeah, you'll fill it in the fourth. We'll start getting some chunks, but we're not built to really run directly at you all without getting double teams, without getting traps and whams and all that type of stuff. It's not the same. We got to get y'all running laterally with some zones to kind of, you know, uh, put some pressure on your gaps. Um, but trenches on both sides. Honestly, y'all can dominate the game.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna start with you guys' group. Cam Hayward's a beast. I always speak highly of him. So that kid's a beast, and like I said, right next to White, so it's like that's gonna cause a problem. And like you said, Martavius Adam, Chris Wormley rotates in, Tyson Olive if he's healthy. You guys got a nice little plethora of guys like that that can go up front. And because I know you guys lost Hargrave, who's a beast, who's in Philly doing his thing. But it hasn't hurt you too bad. But y'all always seem to find a way to get pressure on the quarterback. For us, like I say, Justin Metabike, that's what you was trying to say. That's his name. He's grown into his own. He's doing his thing. Travis Jones has shown some spots when they have let him play. They gotta let him play more. Me personally, I think the last Cameron snap should be cut down. Him being older, being closer to retirement. Travis Jones should be in there a little bit more. Roger Washington played great last 2 weeks. Got a sack against Jacksonville. It was actually his birthday Sunday. He did well. A couple tackles behind the line of scrimmage. Brent Urban comes in there and gives her that rotation guy, 6'6", 300 pounds. He's another one, long arms can keep the quarterback's face, make him have to hold the ball, pat it down. So overall, the defensive line's been good. We all missing Michael Parrish though because he got off to a hot start against the Jets and just basically dominated the football game, making tackles for loss. He actually had a sack on Joe Flacco. So overall, our interior has been pretty good. All right, outside linebackers versus the stand-up guys.
All right. So outside linebackers, of course, we got T.J. Watt, who, um, yeah, don't expect the T.J. Watt you've been seeing the last few years. I mean, he had the knee injury, he had the torn pec. Um, Last game he was playing with a rib protector, and since he's come back from the torn pec, he's been wearing a brace, on his arms. And I mean, you see a difference. I mean, he's getting the edge, but you don't really see a lot of the same counter moves. Spinning to the inside, got that kind of club move to get them moving in in the same direction like what Reggie White used to use. You don't see the same hand usage, so he's breaking. Teams are breaking contain on them. They're just able to step up. I mean, you see Matt Ryan and Marcus Mariota using it. So I see you're going to probably see Huntley doing the same thing where he gets deep in his drops. You'll see Watt coming in and he's going to run right past them as Huntley steps up. Um, on the other side, you got Highsmith, who honestly, Watt being out was the best thing to happen to him, because it really forced him to be that guy. He had a few games after Watt came out because he had 3 sacks week one, against the Bengals. But then he was quiet for a little while, and then he started to kind of adjust, and he really came into his own as even as Watt's come back. And to be quite honest, Highsmith's been better. Coming off that edge, he's still getting his numbers. He's still making plays in a running game, and I think if we're not going to get after the quarterback, we're not going to bring the quarterback down until we start layering our rushes again. As far as back, I mean, we picked up Malik Reed. You don't really see much of him. He's not really doing much at all. We got Jameer Jones. I mean, he's basically a special teamer. So um, it's not as much production as you normally would expect out of our outside linebackers this year, and it's mainly because of Watt's injury. Now, you got a few guys that you can kind of rotate there outside linebacker. I mean, I'll start with. I mean, I guess you can maybe consider him a DN, but I mean, you picked up Jason Pierre-Paul, who I think we should have taken a look at, while Watt was out, but he's a playmaker. He kind of speaks for himself. Justin Houston just doesn't age. He's a guy that can still get rushed, get after the passer. He'd probably end up leading your team in sacks. Rest in peace to Jalen Ferguson, who I was looking forward to seeing. Another guy that I was looking at possibly drafting, myself, or the Steelers, I should say. I think I got Tyrus Bowers back. He was hurt this year, but I think he came back a few weeks ago, and it's a guy that can. I think he's been better rushing the passer, but historically he's more of a uh, um, assist in the passing game, more of a coverage line, right? Someone that you might want to have over top of a Fryermuth, or running backs, or playing the flat. And he actually got pretty good ball skills for an outside linebacker, but um, I don't see a lot of plat. I mean, you probably could exploit our tackles, but oh, you know what? I'm missing your big guy, the out of Penn State.
Oh, oh, oh,
Oh wait.
oh,
Oh
wait.
wait.
Oh wait, yeah. So he's another guy that I wasn't sure about because he doesn't seem to want to. He never really got after the quarterback in college. He had the intangibles, he had the athleticism, but he just didn't get there. Like he was just always not there. But he was a playmaker. And then he got to the NFL level, and he did make a lot of plays. So I think he made the biggest play last year in the Chiefs game. Y'all came back and beat the Chiefs. So I got some guys that can kind of hurt and confuse and attack our line. I got a lot of guys that are NFL capable at that position. You maybe not have the stars that we have as far as Watt or even Highsmith, but you guys got 4 or 5 guys at that position that you can play, and there's really not that much of a fall off. Whereas Watt comes off the field, and you see Malik Reed, you see number 50 there. I, I mean, he's just another guy. So.
I agree, Greg. You guys, like I said, White by himself is like that's enough right there. Alonso Highsmith been playing much better. Like I said, Marie Reed was with the Broncos and all that. And I don't know who your other guy is. I know you had Melvin Ingram last year. He's now in Miami. So y'all guys can like fiddle faddling with those backup rushers. But Watt, when Watt healthy, is just like, yeah, he's the best. He's the best outside pass rusher in the league. For us, Houston has been playing well. Got what 9 sacks. He's going to get double sacks this year. I would like to say Bowser come back. He's doing his thing. JPP has given us a little something. Something had an interception against the 2 weeks ago. His numbers not there, but he does get pressure. Like, and he does stop the run. We just need him to finish a little bit more. He got to use his hands more and just realize he just can't just run around people. The NFL and tackles make a whole lot of money. Devon Kennard's the other guy that's on the practice squad who may get some snaps later on. Solid player with Green Bay and the Giants had 7, 8 sacks a couple seasons. So like you said, we do got and then David Ajabo. He gets ready and he knows the system, so he'll be able to come in and play. He don't got to learn the playbook because he already know it. So that's the good thing for him. So yeah, like you said, we do got 5, 6 guys that can rotate in and out and and put pressure on the quarterback. So Cam just hopped on. All right, Cam, we talking about edge rushers, Pittsburgh edge rushers and the Ravens edge rushers. Because Greg is a Pittsburgh fan, if you don't know. So we're breaking down both teams'
Yeah, I
edge.
figured that when he was talking, man. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Yeah, I apologize, man. My this schedule is crazy right now with December, man. Like people popping up here and there with my personal training and stuff, and then I get stuck there because I work with a doctor. So anyway, I came in on the tail end, but I yeah this I don't know exactly the rotation if y'all do a rotation at Pittsburgh. But it seemed like because of the system that y'all run, it seemed like y'all never really did a rotation. That's not really y'all thing as far as y'all keep the pressure, y'all keep the pressure cooking with the edge that y'all have. Like I mean I could be wrong. I'm asking you offhand because
This year been a little different.
the system is
Um,
different.
well, the system's not different. It's just Watt's not healthy. This ain't the same Watt.
Gotcha.
I mean, he has to
Okay.
he has to come out a lot more. He's not playing the same amount of snaps. He was even grimacing last week. Um, he had to come out for a while. We don't necessarily change our system whenever someone
Right.
comes out, but we don't have the depth there. When Malik Reed comes in, I mean, he provides next to nothing as far as a pass rusher,
Right.
at least with us. Highsmith, he plays a lot. He's honestly been our best pass rusher this year. Um,
Right.
but we don't have much outside of that. I mean, we have Jameer Jones. I mean, he's on the team. He'll play, but I mean, sometimes we even line up our one of our defensive ends, rookie DeMarvin Leal, at outside
Mm-hmm.
linebacker because he has that type of athleticism. Just because we just don't have that type of depth at outside linebacker. Um, but and
Right.
that's the key to our defense. I mean, we get gashed in the passing game simply because we can't just line up, rush forward, and get to the quarterback
Right.
like we did in previous years. And our sack total is down severely.
Right. And how's Wormley? Well, we doing the edge rushes, so I'm sorry, my bad.
You're
Yeah,
good.
like I everything you were saying, just you pretty much said everything as far as that's concerned, as far as like the edge. Like I think people on our end, as far as I mean, from the outside looking in, people don't see a lot of production with Owe. They think he's not doing nothing. Even on the inside, with people that's fans that are Ravens, everybody just looking at the numbers, the sack numbers, but they not looking at the work that always putting in, or sometimes he, like even Justin Houston said that sometimes he making a move that's helping me get open, on the stun or what have you to get the sack. So I like what he's doing. That's the only one I'm gonna talk about. Everybody else, I'm enjoying, but I mean, because he's the one that seems to be under fire, mainly because he's the first round draft pick, right? So
Mhm.
it seems like he's become more aggressive. I think because he's learning. He's not just learning from Justin. He's learning from JPP and somebody that's more his stature as far as like height wise. Um, so he's playing to run a lot better, in my opinion, from seeing, from what I've seen lately. But JPP is just he's done his part as far as when it comes down to that's why he's getting most of the snaps in the early downs. Even Mike McDonald said he's just playing the run so well. It's kind of hard to take him off, because he's definitely setting the edge, and he's you know the way I guess the way McDonald has set the presence as far as like we still run the hybrid systems. The same thing like Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? Like it could be a defensive end slash outside linebacker, but when you have when you have somebody like JPP, he's been able to be in both a 4-3 system and a 3-4 system, and he's been able to adapt. So he's doing his job. He's doing what he needs to do. You know, so but you know, I think overall this is going to be an old school Baltimore Pittsburgh game, bro. You know what I mean? Nail biter. And if you like defense, you're going to love this game. That's how I feel. You
Yeah.
know, I expect it. I don't care if we were if both teams had no opportunity to get into the playoffs. It's like big brother, little brother. Like it's a sibling rivalry. It's always going to be that way. You know, I always tell people I respect. I'm always going to respect Pittsburgh. I can't stand Cincinnati, and I can't stand Cleveland.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. You know what I'm saying? So look ahead, bro.
Inside linebackers, Greg.
Yeah, no, just piggyback. Yeah, I agree. It's probably going to be a low scoring game. We kind of touched based on that at the beginning of the call. Probably be pretty close. I think more so this year has to do with the not big expectations from the offenses.
Mm.
As much as how the defenses are going to play. It's just neither one of our offenses are playing top tier. I mean, ours is improving, but I mean, we're still not there yet. Now, on the as far as inside linebackers, we got Devin Bush. He's in his second year coming back off of his knee injury. He's still not to where he was as a rookie. Where I mean, there was a debate of whether he was better than Devin White. I mean, he came out the gate swinging, making plays. I mean, including against the Ravens, he had the interception guarding Mark Andrews. That was kind of acrobatic. Um, but last year he looked timid. He didn't want to take on blocks. Really didn't want to fill the holes. I mean, he was hesitant. That's really not there. I mean, you're even seeing him blowing up some guards. Now he's still not on an elite level, but he's not a liability like he was. And honestly, he's probably been our best coverage inside linebacker, and that includes Miles Jack. Miles Jack, when he came in, it was an exciting signing for us because it's been a while since we had someone that actually can get off of blocks. Because last year we had Schobert. Um, even when Shazier was here, I mean, he was a playmaker. He'll shoot the gap, he'll blow up a play. But if one of them linemen got their hands on him, it was over, right? So, but Miles Jack came in, and I'm seeing him getting off blocks. I'm seeing him using good technique, making plays in the running and the passing game. And to be quite honest, it's falling off. Um, he's good for a penalty here and there. He hasn't really been that good in the passing game. He's filling the goal, he's filling the holes, but he's really not to where he was earlier in the year. When we're in our nickel package, for some reason, Tomlin likes Robert Spillane. Now, you might remember him because he got a pick six against Lamar
Number
Jackson.
41.
Yeah, so 41.
Right.
So now that might be a bit misleading because teams pick on him in the passing game. I mean, when we're giving up yardage in the passing game, teams look for two players on our defense. Where's Robert Spillane and where's Arthur Millette? Right? So look at number 41. If you see a pass completed, look to see how far 41 or 35 is from him. And I think teams look for him, especially on third downs. But Robert Spillane has struggled, but Tomlin seems to think he's this great communicator and great in coverage. As people are watching the game, we don't see it. He doesn't look like an NFL player. And to be quite honest, we got a rookie, Mark Robinson, who actually was a converted running back like Miles Jack, um, who seems to be a guided missile in the running game, and he doesn't dress. He's on the 53-man roster, but he doesn't dress on Sundays, and a lot of Steelers fans want to see him, but I don't think we're going to see him. The rest of the guys are pretty much special teamers. We got Marcus Robinson, another Penn State guy. Doesn't really see team. On defense, he's a converted safety. Um, but now on the Ravens side, who knows if Patrick McQueen is going to play? He did practice, but he has a leg injury, so I don't know if he's going to be limited, game time decision, or what have you. But he seems to be your best coverage guy. So if you want to stop Firemouth in the middle, you're going to want to see him on the field. Because as good as Roquan is, I mean, that's a huge signing for this year. Like, tells me y'all going all in for this year. He's a menace in the running game. I mean, you can't get a hand on him. He's fast. He's sideline to sideline. He's run downhill. He's not afraid to stick his nose in a pile. I mean, he can hurt you. You know what I mean? Najee, all them running backs, they're going to feel it. But he's not that good in the passing game either. He can, you can get behind him. You can make some plays on him. But he's an elite at that level. Now, if Queen can't play, you do got Malik Harrison, who's been better in the run game this year. I mean, he was on that Ohio State team that gave up, 300 rushing to McFarland. But but he does seem to be picking things up. And y'all had another guy was starting last year.
Josh Bynes.
Bynes, okay, yeah, Bynes is actually a playmaker. He probably should be the one that gets the start if Queen can't play, because it seems to be he's more of a kind of combination of both. Like he can stop the run and the pass. He's not elite at any level, but he's not a liability anywhere. As far as I've seen, but y'all linebacker you know what I mean? Y'all the land of Ray Lewis, so y'all don't go too long without having someone there in the middle. You kind of model yourself after, the Steelers, but we haven't had a Ray Lewis. So that's y'all kind of took over that staple for inside linebackers. But yeah, I'll go ahead and pass that over to Justin.
Oh man, yeah, well said. Like you said, you guys, Devin Bush and Miles Jack, man, them guys definitely a good tandem. Man. Devin Bush coming off the injury, like you said, he has been hesitant and just playing and just reacting. He just worrying about not being injured. But he still can dominate and take over a game. He still can get a pick and pass coverage. He still can cause a fumble in the run game. And Miles Jack, like I say, Jacksonville wanted to rebuild and go younger. He's still making plays, man. Remember, he single-handedly almost they took the Jags to the AFC Championship game. They didn't blow his touchdown down, which was crap. But those two in the middle, and like you said, Robert Spillane made a name for himself, putting that lick on Derrick Henry, and those things like that. So y'all do got a solid group. For us, like you said, hopefully Queen plays with the thigh and all that. So we'll see. If not, Malik Harrison, like you said, he's been better in the run game. Big body, 6'3", 250, he can come down here and get off blocks. Then you got Roquan, flying around all over the place. And, then you still got Uncle Josh Bynes there and Christian Welch, So I feel really solid about this group. They've been playing pretty good in the last couple of weeks. Go ahead, Cam.
Yeah, I agree with both of y'all as far as like what's going on. I don't think Josh Bynes is going to play. He's like the emergency. Like he's doing better coaching. It's not that he can't. His mind will go, but his body ain't doing what his mind want him to do anymore. You know what I mean? It's just that you at that point, in your career, that was one of the reasons they had to go out and get Roquan, because he could see it, but he wasn't, and he could diagnose. He's probably the smartest linebacker on the team. Period. He could diagnose it, and he was coaching up Queen. That's why Queen's been doing so well. But you could just see he's like a half step slower than when he needs to be or what he was. You know what I mean? As far as like, that's why when Roquan got there, they didn't even dress him. He's not even doing special teams or nothing. He's been in 14 seasons, I believe. Right, Just?
Like 11, like y'all had 2011, so like 11 years.
Yeah. So, but his body ain't moving and shaking like he needed to anymore. I mean, I've always liked Miles Jack. I thought we were gonna get him. When coming out the draft, I was hoping for that we would get him, but everybody was suspect on like his knee injury, but he seemed to still. I mean, he still got it, man. He does, and Bush, I watched him even back when he was at Michigan, but I can understand like the timidness when he came off the ACL. That it's always I feel it, in my opinion, like it's always harder for a defensive player to get right off the ACL opposed to offensive player, mainly because you going backwards and then going forward. You know what I mean? Like when you on offense, you know where you going majority of the time, but the biggest part, of the ACL, when you're on offense is when you're cutting, if you're trying to juke somebody or what have you. But when you playing defense, you go backwards, you go forward, you gotta go side to side. You gotta feel comfortable with yourself. So I can understand why he was a bit timid last year. And plus, y'all didn't pick up his 5th-year option, did y'all? That's another reason why he's gonna play out of his mind, and that's why he's been playing out of his mind. Cause he's like, if y'all ain't gonna cut my check, somebody gonna cut the check. You know what I mean? So he know what it is. I mean, his father played football for the Giants, so he know what it is. He know what he got to do. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's again, I on both sides of the ball, man. I mean, on both teams, as far as the defense is concerned, especially with the linebackers, I love the attitude that's being brought back because that's been missed on both ends. Like that attitude. Like I think I saw when y'all playing the Thursday night game and Bush hit somebody on Indianapolis. I can't remember who he hit, but the attitude. Like I want to tear your head off. That's the attitude. That's what I love. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I love it. How you doing, Shannon? So y'all keep it going. Go ahead, Greg. Where we going next?
Corners,
DB.
DBs overall.
DBs
Uh,
overall.
yeah, so that's an area we don't really have a lot of elite talent. We signed Levi Wallace, who um, he's been serviceable. He has a couple. Actually, I think he has 3 interceptions, but he's susceptible to get beat. You don't have elite wide receivers, but you have speed, and that's speed tends to hurt him. Because he really doesn't have that. He was a walk on at Alabama, worked his way into the Buffalo starting lineup, and then, we signed him. And against your everyday wide receivers, he's typically in position, but speed beats him. You can get behind him. Cam Sutton's been our best cornerback. Um, he's not elite by any stretch, but if someone's going to get a pass breakup, is typically going to be him. He's dropped a couple interceptions. Honestly, probably cost us against the Patriots. We probably win if he holds on to an interception. So he probably would have about 4 or 5 right now if he can actually hand on to something. Actually, to say he dropped one against the Dolphins too, so that's another game win if he just holds on to an interception. But he's probably our best cover corner. Witherspoon's been out. Um, he was hurt when he was playing, and when he was playing, he wasn't playing very well. Gave up. I mean, AJ Brown completely torched him, and he gave up a touchdown at the end of the half against the Patriots to Nelson Aguilar, who's about 5'8". He let him jump over him. That's a game we lost by, I think, a field goal or something like that. That was a pretty close game. So, our cornerbacks probably lost that game, even though we had a muff punt. Um, and in the slot, like I said before, Arthur Millette, watch those possession downs and look for number 35. They're going to target him. They target 2 people during those possession downs. And Arthur Millette, he's a good blitzer. I mean, he's good in run defense, but he cannot. He's terrible in coverage. Now, of course, we got Minka back there that tends to erase a lot, but we've allowed him to roam, even playing free safety. He's coming up and playing a lot in the middle of the field, and I don't know if we're going to get gashed by that at any point in time, but he's always a threat to make a play. Edmonds has gotten better every year. Um, he's a guy that he's not really that high in talent. It was probably a reach to draft him. They probably thought he was his brother when they drafted him because that was the only reason he was in the draft room. You know, uh, that draft because his brother was getting drafted in the first round. Um, but he's a guy that's played Mark Andrews pretty well in coverage, and he makes a lot of plays in around the line of scrimmage. Someone that we added was DeMonte KZ. He led the NFL in interceptions a few years ago for the Falcons. He did get one in his first action with us this year because he like broke his wrist or something like that in preseason. But I haven't seen a lot of our big nickel where we have three safeties on the field. I haven't seen that yet. But I think if it was a team that we would play that against, it would be you all because of the way y'all play. Um, and that big nickel can take Arthur Millette off the field in the passing game. But I haven't really seen that a whole lot because I know DeMonte Casey can play free safety, which of course will allow Minka to roam where he's dangerous. Um, all in all, our secondary is susceptible. Um, we don't give up as much to a lot of wide receivers, but tight ends kill us. It has been killing us in the middle of the field. I mean, you're talking about no names like who is it? Ollie Cox from the Colts was chewing us up. Um, the one tight end from the Saints was tearing us up. Um,
Adam Troutman.
who was it?
Adam Troutman.
No, it wasn't Trout. It wasn't even Troutman. It was the other guy. You wouldn't even know who. I didn't know who he was before the game.
Mm.
I think it was like Dron Johnson or something like that. I don't even know who he was. But they were tearing us up in the middle of the field because it's wide open. The Jets killed us in the middle of the field. Um, y'all can make some plays in the passing game. I still think y'all should line up and run the ball 50 times, but y'all can make some plays against our secondary. Just look where Minka is and don't throw it in his direction.
That's
Yeah,
my boy, dude.
Mink is definitely one of the best free safeties in the league. Terrell Evans has been spotty, but like you say, he has been having good matches against Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews got a long part due to him and Devin. But like I said, you said Witherspoon's out. I know y'all still got Cam Sutton. Y'all didn't bring back Joe Hayden. Y'all picked up William Jackson, which was a good sign. So you guys, it's gonna be some growing pains back there. For us, like I said, Marcus Peters still coming off the ACL. He's been playing spotty, but you got to be used against Jacksonville. Got used like a $2 hole on a Saturday night. Marlon back to his All Pro status, been doing his thing, man. So Brandon Stevens, he's been hot garbage. I've been high on him, but he's been stinking lately. That's why he has been saying to feel like that. The Marion Pepe Williams, when he's in there, he makes plays, get a pass break up. You think he even had an interception not so long ago. Jalen Alman Davis, oh Lord, that was just that Dolphins game when he just completely let Tyreek Hill just run by him, like he's not the fastest man on the planet. He's been in the doghouse, but our safety play has been better. Chuck Clark, when we drafted Kyle Hamilton, Chuck Clark probably dropped his burger and went and go worked out and did whatever because he knows he got put on. He got basically got put on the spot like, hey man, your job is not safe, greened out or not. Geno Stone's been playing better, since the injury to Marcus Williams. He's going to be back soon. I don't know if he's going to play Sunday or not, but we should have him back within the next 2 weeks. Darius Washington, we activated him finally, who's somebody that me and Cam had high on, play nickel, play safety. He looked pretty good, but the DBs been pretty good. Outside the Jacksonville gang, they've been holding down the last couple of weeks where it can.
Yeah. Meek, before we get in, Meek is my boy, man. I've been watching him since he was a kid, and he's in high school. He went to high school in my town, Jersey City, and he was a monster then. You know what I mean? But that's the only joke I root for on y'all side. So I know his family. So I want him to do good. Yeah. As far as the Ravens is concerned, the only weak link I see in that secondary, and I'm not even gonna say Marcus Peters. I give him a pass because he's still getting better off the ACL, and it seemed that he tends to get up for games. Hopefully he gets up for this game. It seems like he gets up for division games because he surely got up for that Cincinnati game. Like he was on a different level. It looked like the old Marcus Peters, and then he kind of throttled back. But our weakest link in that secondary, man, right now is Chuck. Like Chuck worries me. He worried me. I'm watching a Denver game, and he too if he's not playing man to man, and he gotta just roam. He his eyes are caught in the backfield like too much. You know what I mean? Our front seven is doing well. You the back end. You shouldn't be getting caught up in the backfield like that and letting a rookie tight end run right past you. One time it happened to Geno Stone, but it happened to Chuck too many times. And I'm like, you should be a lot. You should be a lot better than that. You the veteran on the field. Marlowe was all pro Marlowe. He's playing with a chip on his shoulder. He's playing as well as he needs to. Kyle Hamilton he's something special. Like I think we haven't seen the best of him. Like he was never blitzing in college, and then he got pass rush moves, which was amazing. And then sometimes they roam like they doing everything with him. Like, and I love it too. Like sometimes he's sitting on the edge, and then sometimes they got him blitzing, and then now we go to that big nickel, and he's covering the tight end, or he's covering whoever's in the slot, and after they learn you can't match him up with anybody, obviously, right? Especially on no speedy receiver after that Giant game, they learned to match him up with the right people so he don't look. I mean, I wouldn't expect him on nobody 4-3 anyway. He shouldn't have been on. I think it was Wilkerson, but anyway, long story short, he's starting to round out to be like a really, really good, really good pick, and I can see like he's nowhere near his ceiling, so he's definitely going to be something special. I really hope that Marcus Williams comes back this game, because I think we need him back there. Like I said, I like Chuck, and obviously he's going to start for the rest of the season, but I honestly think we're going to be better when Chuck leaves and Geno Stone is replacing Chuck in his spot, and Kyle is actually the starter, because Stone is a playmaker. Chuck is not a playmaker. Chuck is a smart player, but he's not. Every now and then he'll make he'll make a splash play here and there, but he's a box safety. And that's really all he is. Like, in playing zone, that's not his move. His eyes are like all over the place. But if he got to line up and cover him in, then I trust him on that end. I trust him on that end, opposed to him, opposed to him just being out there roaming and playing free safety. I don't trust him at all. On y'all end, like I said, man, Mika, man, I'm happy for him, because he's at a place that he's a safety he would be appreciated there at Pittsburgh. If he wasn't at Pittsburgh, I would be glad that if we had him. But other than that, I don't really think there's an organization in the defense that would appreciate, maybe San Francisco, that would appreciate somebody that's as versatile as he is. I mean, remember in Alabama, he played corner, he played nickel. What is this lady doing? My bad, bro. I'm in the parking lot before I pull out and get to the shop. He played nickel. He played corner, outside corner. He played safety. He played strong safety. He was all Saban had him everywhere, bro. So he's worth every penny that y'all are paying him. I don't know. I can't really speak on any of y'all corners because I don't know. Other than Levi, I don't know anybody that's. What's my man name from? Is it Sutton? That's from Oklahoma.
Cam Sutton. He was from Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
What's my man from Oklahoma?
We got a corner from Oklahoma. I don't know if Arthur Millette.
He was a rookie last year, or is that Sutton? Was Sutton a rookie last year?
No, Sutton been here for a few years. I don't think we got anyone from Oklahoma, but I know Levi Wallace went to Alabama.
No, it was some. I can't. Maybe it is Sutton. I thought he was a rookie last year. I thought y'all drafted a corner. Y'all drafted a corner last year. He played the nickel. I thought I'm thinking about somebody else, but
yeah, we neglected that position.
Huh?
I said we neglected that position in the draft.
Yeah, I can't really speak on like your corners like that. I just don't like when I'm watching y'all, I'm rooting for Mika to do well, other than when he played Baltimore, of course. But Mika he gets up for this game, so I'm expecting nothing less, to see him see him come out there and do his thing. But he gets up when he playing Baltimore, he gets up for the game, and it's probably because it's an Alabama thing. You got Bama on both ends, so that'll be about it. But go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I didn't hit on y'all secondary. My bad. So one of the matchups that I wanted to look at was Peters,
Mm.
and it's because of his playing style. Even though he struggled this year, he gave up the late touchdown in Jacksonville, and he's had some late penalties. I think that he had a big penalty against the Giants.
That was a bullshit call. Excuse my language. He shouldn't have had that call.
Understood.
Yeah, sorry
So
about that. My apologies. Go ahead.
So as much as Deontay has struggled, he's one of the he's drawn some of the most pass interference penalties. But because of Peters' playing style, he could bait a rookie quarterback to make a big play because that's what he does. I mean, he gets beat, but he can play those mind games with a young quarterback, and that's something I'm afraid of. And of course, Marlon is back because he's with Peters, playing. He doesn't have to play on the outside as much, where he's not as much built for. Like he can beat up a lot of wide receivers in the slot. And he's a playmaker. I don't see him forcing as many fumbles as I've seen him doing early in the year, earlier in his career. But he's always around the ball. He's breaking up passes still. Um, he can still get his hands on some ball. He don't have as many interceptions as you like, but he's good in coverage. He's not getting. Last year he got beat up pretty bad after Peters came out, but Stevens, I don't really see much from him. I mean, it seems like he's much of a guy, just a guy out there. But Geno Stone is a local guy to hear. Um, so it's someone that I root for. I don't know him, but um, I kind of root for some of the Western PAs from about 45 minutes away from me. Um, Chuck Clark, you guys tend to have a guy like him, even though, yeah, he frustrates you in coverage just like Arthur Millette does with us. But you always have that downhill safety, whether it's Bernard Pollard, or you had who's the
Landry.
guy who's the
Landry.
yeah, you
Landry.
had Landry, you had
Yeah.
who's the guy, was it Hill? He returned a block kick for a touchdown to win
I
the
know you're
game.
talking about. Yeah, yeah. Him and Mika went to the same high school. Will Hill.
Will
They
Hill,
both
Will
went.
Hill.
Yeah, he's from Jersey City too. They both went to this high school called St. Peter's Prep. It's like number, like they're in the top 10 in the U.S. as far as like for football. But go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
see. But yeah, you always have a guy like that downhill that's just, that'll blow up stuff in a running game. That's the intimidator. Uh, back there, that's you make you think twice about coming over the middle. Um, Now Marcus Williams, yeah, he's a guy that can get his hands on the ball. He's a playmaker. Since that Saints game where he gave up the touchdown to Stephon Diggs to lose the
Mm.
game in the playoffs. I mean, he's been a player. I mean, 70 million from him isn't unreasonable, especially I think it's 5 years. So that was a good sign, and if he's healthy, Kyle Hamilton, man, you can use him in any type of way. I mean, he could be a dime backer with his size and how much ground he covers. Like it's not even he doesn't even have to the play doesn't have to be on his side of the field and he'll be there. I mean, he's getting there in like 3 steps, just the way he closes ground. And it's just someone you kind of have to keep an eye on. He's like that Minka. It's like, all right, where's this 6'4" safety at? That make you think, and you can kind of use him as that chess piece, that queen, to where it's harder to game plan against guys like that. We use Troy, in similar fashion where you just didn't know where he was going to be, and those guys just kind of close so much ground that you got to think twice. The guy's open, but if he sees it in time, he's going to close that and break it up, or he's going to intercept it. So, your secondary come into the season, I thought should have been the best in the NFL. That's what I thought was going to be the case. It didn't end up turning out that way. You've had some injuries. You struggle with the pass rush. It might be something with the system. Um, he's trying to not be who did y'all get rid of? Who's your last DC who's in New York now?
Wink, Wink, Wink Martindale.
Martindale.
Yeah.
So yeah, Wink Martindale had 0 blitzes and got y'all in trouble last year. So it seems like your new DC is trying to overcompensate, and he's not bringing anyone, and it's hurting you that way. So if y'all can find a good mix, I got the talent. I don't think there's a more talented secondary. I think it just needs to be utilized right.
Yeah. All right. Last segment. We all give out 3 keys to victory. If you want to give a score prediction, you can. So, Greg, give me 3 keys to victory for the Steelers. If you want to add a score, you can. If you don't, that's fine.
Okay. So key to victories. I mean, we can't turn over the ball. That's been our formula. We can't. Our offense isn't good enough to overcome any type of turnovers. So that's why that Peters kind of matchup. Keep an eye on that. Um, we can't afford to be baited by him. We got to be able to continue this running game. Um, we've been running for upwards of 165, 200 yards a game. It has to continue. I mean, that includes even running with Pickett. Pickett's been using his feet, so he's going to have to pick up a few first downs. And my third key is the hitting yardage, right? So it's the penalties. It's not letting Duvernay have a long kick return. It's maybe Steven Sims getting a long kick return. It's our punt game. Presley Harvin has been coming along, and you guys got the top punter this year. The rookie Stout. Um, we got to win the hidden yardage game if we're going to win, because it's going to be about field position in a defensive battle. So if I'm going to do a score position, I do think we get you all this week, because mostly because it's in Pittsburgh. About 24-20.
Okay. Me, number one, don't turn the football over. That is number one. Can't lose the turnover battle. Number two, score in the red zone. I mean, it's okay to kick some field goals, but you gotta. But if we trading field goals and y'all getting 7, it's not gonna work. So we gotta score in the red zone. Number three, do not give up big third down conversions. That's number three, right there. Like, we gotta get you guys out the field on third down. So like every time we play out, Brandon Ben's not here no more, but Pickett still has that capability to move around and find somebody on 3rd and 10. We got to get y'all out the field on third. And score prediction, it's going to be a tight game. But, I'm going to go 23-20 Ravens. Go ahead, Cam. Give me your 3 keys to victory. I know you don't do score prediction.
Yeah, I don't do the score prediction. Well, first, number one, all 3 phases got to play all 4 quarters, solid 4 quarters. We can't have one. We can't have the offense show up. The offense show up in the second half and the defense stop. Just don't show up. We can't have that no more. Like, we too far into the season. We got to stop that. So all 4 quarters, everybody need to play solid ball. Number two, we got to get back to doing what we do best, and what Greg Roman's supposed to be a genius at doing, is that's running the ball. The run scheme runs ever since the bye. We haven't been able to do that, and you got one of your horses back, and I'm talking about Gus Edwards. You got to be able to get going. Um, I need Kenyon Drake to step it up, and not and be a little bit more consistent until even when JK comes back. Um, Number three is definitely no turnovers. Cause turnovers and, and then don't turn the ball over. So that's my 3 keys. Cause some turnovers, hopefully get some touchdowns off it, and on offense, don't turn the ball over. And be consistent. That this all 4 quarters of consistent play and be solid. Man, we haven't had it at all this year. Even when we win the games, it just hasn't been all. at all. So that's about it.
All right, everyone. These episode, Greg. Thank you for coming on, man. I know we went a little longer than expected. Cam hopped on late, but it's okay, man. It's great dialogue, man. So everybody, you have to check this out on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts. All the links are in the description, man. Talking Ravens all day, every day. Justin P. One of my co-hosts, Cam. AJ couldn't make it. I'm pretty sure, he's still at work back here Tuesday. Hopefully, talking about the Ravens win, not loss. So, man. Anything you want to say real quick, Greg?
Thanks for having me again. Again, I'm excited to see the growth in the channel. Witnessing, having all the guests that you have coming on, and all the work that you're doing. I'm I don't say much, but I definitely peep and salute. So both of you, is nice meeting you, Cam. And well, go Steelers.
Disrespectful right on the Ravens channel. Nah, man, look, man, you know I always appreciate you allow me to come on here with you, man, to chop it up. I do apologize again, like AJ, I'm just having a lot going on. Just try to get in when I can, man. It's a pleasure meeting you, Greg. I'm sure this won't be the last time. We got, we got 2 bouts, so this is only round 1. So round 2, I'm sure you'll be back. I'm gonna say go Ravens.
Fair.
fair, brother. It's all good.
Thursday, man. See y'all Tuesday, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern. Make sure y'all like and subscribe and all that, man. Make sure y'all trade Talk Ravens all day, every day. From your host, Justin P. My co-host, Cam Root, and our special guest, Greg Ford, diehard Steelers fan from Pittsburgh. I'm my Ed, born and raised. I love you guys. We'll talk to y'all Tuesday. We out.
Salute.
Sir.